Hello, town meeting members. This is Julie Hackett, Superintendent of Schools. I'm happy to present this Lexington High School project update on behalf of the School Building Committee. The purpose of this presentation is to talk about a number of different concepts, and we'll get into those now. As you can see in the building project timeline, we are in the initial design phase, and next year at this time, we will be considering town meeting and debt exclusion votes for a new high school. We anticipate a move-in date in the year 29-30 and a project closeout date by 31. Our work on this project started long ago. Through the years, Lexington has engaged in many master planning exercises that continue to inform our efforts. In 2018, the school committee organized a master planning committee. We were able to work together with various stakeholders to create a master plan and a compendium, which led to the submission of a statement of interest and an invitation from the Massachusetts School Building Authority, who has agreed to partner with Lexington to help fund this project. Our high school is 75 years old and it's in tough shape. There are existing conditions that are a serious concern for many. It's an outdated building. It lacks full ADA compliance. We are at risk of systems failure with an estimated cost of $250 to $300 million needed to address those systems issues alone. The building is not energy efficient. It's increasingly more costly to operate. Our classrooms are 26% smaller than the MSBA's recommended size. Our science labs, our special ed spaces, our performing arts spaces, and large core spaces like the cafeteria and gymnasium are inadequate. Lexington High School enrollment is at its peak this year, and we are severely overcrowded. Our core spaces were built for 1,850 students, and we are currently over the planned operating capacity by approximately 600 students. Hallways are extremely congested, making it difficult for students and staff to pass safely. And we are significantly below space, again, for students with disabilities. The MSBA is a quasi-independent government authority that was created in 2004. It has a 7-member board of directors chaired by the state treasurer. Their mission is to partner with districts to create affordable, sustainable, and energy-efficient schools across Massachusetts. Lexington was fortunate to be invited into the capital pipeline in March of 2022, solidifying our partnership with them and their multi-million-dollar contribution to a new or renovated high school. To receive funding, we have to stick to their square footage guidelines, their timelines, their MSBA's modules, and understand that our decisions are subject to their approval. In partnership with the MSBA, Lexington has a forum, a body, and a process for community input and feedback. It's called the School Building Committee. The SBC is an appointed body required by the MSBA. Membership includes individuals in our community with various roles representing different interests. For people who may worry about reckless spending with a project of this magnitude, it might help to know that the MSBA's charge to the School Building Committee is for us to deliver the most cost-effective and educationally appropriate preferred solution. Only 15% of all statements of interest are invited to partner with the MSBA, so it's a highly competitive process. Some districts have submitted every year for nearly a decade, and they still haven't been invited to partner. Lexington submitted 3 statements of interest and received an invitation. Our partnership with the Mass School Building Authority is like getting a $100 million check in the mail. We have prioritized community engagement throughout this process. The numbers on this page reflect the design options considered throughout the feasibility study and show how they changed over time. Residents developed their own creative schemes, which informed some of these designs. At one point, we had 19 design options, and we recently reduced that number to 2 and soon to 1. Throughout the project's life, the cost estimates are generated by outside independent consultants. The cost estimates shown here are from the second round, which decreased slightly from the first round, and that was welcome news. The third and final cost estimates will be completed in August of 2025. You can see here the types of projects: renovation and addition, new construction on fields, and new construction phased in place. The names of each project: braid, weave, bloom, so on. Project costs, total costs with grants and rebates, construction duration, number of phases, building locations, and the number of modulars required. We are defining the base project with three elements. First, 440,000 square feet for the high school. Next, 20,000 square feet for central office, which can be converted to 12 extra classrooms. And third, 34,000 square feet for a renovated field house. Grants and rebates are conservatively estimated at $140 million. This figure does not include close to $40 million from the Capital Stabilization Fund or other potential revenue streams. The two options favored by the school building committee and actually voted unanimously by the school committee are the bloom and the weave. The bloom is a new construction on fields massing concept. It's one of the least expensive construction options with the shortest construction duration. Construction won't impact center track or the playground or the skate park, and the completed building will stay off the C1, C2, and C7 playing fields. The Recreation Committee has formally endorsed this option. No modular units are required. It has favorable program adjacencies and flexibility. It has a good civic presence that orients well to the surrounding area. The main entrance is visible to Worthen Road, and the designers were able to scale down the massing at the adjacent playground. We're excited about the potential for outdoor classrooms. The downside of this design option is that part of the building sits on undeveloped land, which means there are Article 97 issues, which are not uncommon. The construction is close to the existing building, and there will be many photovoltaic canopies between the building and Worthen Road. The other option that the SBC voted on is the weave design option. It's a new building that is phased in place. We would be displacing students to modular buildings, tearing a wing down, constructing a new building in the area just demolished, and repeating that process until we replace the entire building. The benefits of this approach include that it reduces the impact on fields more so than other options. It gives us flexibility in program organization. It maintains the current civic presence with connections to Muzzy Street, and it also has the potential for outdoor classrooms. However, phased construction is more disruptive and time-consuming than new construction on fields. Some of the other cons associated with weave are that it's one of the most expensive options. It requires 48 modular units at a cost of $400,000 each, would be a total of over $19 million. It would take the longest to complete at 6.5 years, and phased construction is more disruptive and time intensive than new construction. For example, our cafeterias would be down for about a year under this option, and it would require us to satellite over 2,400 meals daily into the facility. We also carefully explored renovation and addition options. There are very detailed and technical explanations as to why none of these options would work, and we encourage you to watch the videos linked here. Many of these options were ad renos or phased-in approaches that were suggested by the community. We explored various schemes to see whether renovating LHS and building an addition would be possible. We learned that ad reno options or phased options are unsuitable due to higher costs, longer construction durations, and associated student and staff impacts. Tying in a two-story renovation to a four-story addition would be challenging, and design issues with the existing structures with lower floor-to-floor deck height require ramps from old to new structures. Further, the configuration of classrooms in the renovated areas was inadequate. The Permanent Building Committee also explored these ad reno options and deemed them unfeasible, which informed the School Building Committee's decision. Now I want to take a moment to respond directly to some community questions and concerns. Regarding cost, keep in mind that LHS is one of Massachusetts' top 5 largest high schools, and enrollment drives cost, or square footage drives drives cost. Given the size of Lexington High School and the current post-pandemic market that we're in, there's nothing unusual about our high school costs. They are still high, but there is nothing unusual about them. The MSBA process that we know today first started in 2004. I began working with the MSBA shortly thereafter in 2009. So for about 15 years, I've been involved in several MSBA school building projects, including an Ad Reno High School project that was actually larger than Lexington High School. And what I can tell you is the MSBA has a core program, an accelerated repair program, and a green repair program, and they have no process for extending the phasing and funding of building projects over time. Those familiar with the MSBA process understand that they want to protect their investment. Square footage, as I said, equals dollars, and the MSBA has built-in controls that require districts to identify any area over their recommended guidelines. Given the size of our programs, we've managed to stay at or under those guidelines in nearly every case, except for the additional 9,000 square feet needed for special education. We've also done a lot to contain costs. We've significantly reduced the square footage that was originally requested by departments, and we've stayed within MSBA guidelines. We have sized all classrooms at 850 square feet instead of the recommended 950 square feet. We eliminated the need for a $22 million parking structure. We identified the least expensive fieldhouse option. We avoided costly multi-million-dollar delays that get caused by a domino effect when you don't make decisions on time. We implemented cost avoidance strategies to generate more than $1 million in annual expense reduction on electricity, and we've maximized grant and rebate opportunities. The science labs we want to upgrade today will cost a whole lot more tomorrow. The extra square footage for special education that we need today will be a lot more expensive tomorrow. Construction costs are going to continue to rise, and we believe the time to act is now. The Center Track complex is a source of pride for the community, and taxpayers want to protect their investments. Town meeting members in 2018 approved a $3.2 million capital project to replace the center track that was deemed unsafe and that had reached the end of its useful life. At the same time, there was a discussion about the need for a new high school, and no promises were made to avoid building on the center track and fields if and when a new high school project became a reality. Now, here we are 6 years later, and somehow we have managed to find a way to stay off center track, avoid the playground, avoid the skate park, not disrupt fields C1, C2, and C7. Given the extreme limitations of our site, which is just 4.5 acres and it's not contiguous, the school building committee and the project team have worked hard to protect the town's investments. As you will see in the link, the Recreation Department has indicated its formal support for a building on fields option. In Lexington, there are no municipal and school sides. We are one town. Land is scarce, history is plentiful, and the high school project will test our values. With kindness, patience, and mutual respect, we can deliver a high school project that improves our existing fields and is a source of pride for the community. Some community members want us to build a new, larger, and more expensive fieldhouse. And I want to point out that the designs do include the fieldhouse renovation, not just a new extra large fieldhouse. We've looked at 5 different fieldhouse options that are listed there. The one that we are recommending is the first, the 27,034,000 square foot renovation. The school building committee sought input from the appropriation committee, the capital expenditures committee, the school committee, the select board, and the recreation committee. There was some appetite for a new small field house, but few in the financial summit expressed a desire for a larger one. Some, in fact, indicated that building a larger field house would bump other important town capital projects. Given the views expressed by various town boards and committees to date, we are staying focused on the base high school project, which includes a renovated field house, the most fiscally responsible way to maintain and improve this athletic facility. Some have indicated that relocating central office in Lexington High School is a costly, unnecessary luxury, and I'm going to tell you why that is not so. Relocating central office is a necessity for three reasons. First of all, we have recreation and schools. Both entities need more playing fields. We have the MBTA zoning bylaw changes and other unknowns suggesting we may need more classroom spaces in the future. And then the old Harrington building, where central office currently is, was rated an F due to structural and mechanical failures, requiring approximately $20 million to renovate. So we put our heads together and we address the three issues above by developing a creative, cost neutral plan. The plan involves tearing down Old Harrington, building new playing fields on the site, reallocating the $20 million we would have needed in resources to address the systems failures at Old Harrington or central office, and converting that instead into additional square footage at Lexington High School. If overcrowding becomes an issue, we can easily convert the 20,000 square feet designated for the central office to around 12 classrooms. This would accommodate up to 300 students or so. We've also heard some criticisms that the high school's design capacity is too small, therefore the project should be phased or delayed, and we respectfully disagree. The MSBA issued a design enrollment of 2,395, taking into account the typical impact of zoning bylaw changes. However, we know that those are 4 times higher in Lexington. If the MBTA zoning bylaw changes do increase student enrollment, all of our design options have three built-in strategies to alleviate enrollment pressure. First, we could increase the LHS utilization rates from 85 to 95%. That would give us 500 more spaces for students. We could use the additional central office square footage for students. That would give us another 300 spaces. And we could add on to the high school for about another 500 student spaces. None of these, by the way, are ideal solutions, but they are solutions should they be needed. And by employing these strategies, the total number of students the new high school could accommodate is approximately 3,600. But here's the question: how big is too big? A high school this size would be the second largest in the state behind Brockton, which would be way too large by our estimation. We are mindful that a high school that's any bigger than 3,000 students would have its limitations. So we are in the process of looking at our master plan and reconvening that team to come up with better strategies to address these options should they be needed. For example, we could build on to middle schools. We could reallocate students into various grade spans. We have reached our peak enrollment this year at the high school. We have smaller cohorts coming in, so it is anticipated that high school enrollments are expected to decline. Of course, the big unknown is around the MBTA zoning bylaw changes. We have submitted an enrollment reconsideration request to the MSBA to see if they want to partner with us on the costs associated with additional square footage. We don't know the impacts of such a request, and we're awaiting a response from them. Lexington High School is one of the best high schools in the nation, and residents with and without children in schools benefit from our outstanding educational system. Our 75-year-old facilities are close to system failure and need urgent attention. We need more space. Our high school is one of the 5 largest in Massachusetts, and with the dramatic escalation in construction costs post-pandemic across the region, these estimates are in line with other school building projects. We will continue to do everything possible to lower costs and maximize grants and rebates. On behalf of the School Building Committee and the 7,000 children we serve in the Lexington Public Schools, I want to offer our sincere gratitude for your support, dedication, and commitment to public education. Thank you so much, town meeting members.